Support for NPR and the following message come from USPS. Did you know USPS Ground Advantage service keeps your business in the know from dock to delivery and everywhere in between? Keep your business in the know at usps.com/in-the-know.
Just a heads up, this episode contains some salty language, which means it's finna be some cussing, and contains some spoilers for the Netflix comedy Mo. What's good? You're listening to Code Switch. I'm Gene Demby. All right, y'all, I'm gonna start with a spoiler. Consider yourselves warned, okay? When the first season of the critically acclaimed Netflix comedy Mo ends, its main character, Mo Amer, who is a Palestinian refugee who's been living in the U.S. for decades, is being chased by some bad people who think he stole something from them. And to make this all worse, he somehow found himself on the wrong side of the border.
I'm in Mexico.
New Mexico?
No, not New Mexico. Old Mexico. Like for real Mexico.
Across the border, Mexico? What are you doing in Mexico?
I was chasing these olive trees, and Nick came with me, and we got trapped.
And yeah, I know. Wrong side of the border. That's a very loaded expression. But in the case of Mo, it's fitting because his being there is a huge problem. Like, for starters, he didn't even realize he crossed into Mexico. And two, Mo is a stateless person. He has no homeland to return to, and he's been going through an asylum process since he was a little kid. He has a real important hearing coming up in Texas to hopefully, finally, fix that very issue. But see, now he actually doesn't have a way to get back into the U.S., at least not legally.
Please, God, I've been begging for the last 6 months after I was kidnapped and brought to Mexico against my will, and no one's willing to help me.
Right. You were kidnapped by the Olive Tree cartel, it was, right?
But don't do that.
Mo Amer is the stand-up comedian and writer who created Mo. He also plays its title character. So many of the themes in the show are directly pulled from his life. And okay, I know it might not sound like it, but Mo is a comedy, a very funny comedy about the many cultural rivers that converge in a place called Houston, Texas. It's a comedy about religion and faith. And it's a comedy about a dude who really, really wants to do the right thing, but just can't get out of his own way.
It's based off of a Palestinian family that immigrated to Houston, Texas after the first Gulf War. It's a family that's navigating the immigration system and the asylee court system in America, a Muslim family that's trying to maintain its roots and its faith, all while being stuck in this really difficult immigration process.
We should call an emergency UN meeting right now. Mohammed Najjar needs my help.
Okay.
I'm gonna make sure he gets home.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
You see what I'm doing?
Yes.
On this episode, we are chopping it up with Mo Amer about all of this. The show, his life, a fraught plotline from the most recent season about his family returning to the West Bank, and what it's like to be thrust into the role of spokesperson for Palestinian-Americans at this particular moment.
Support for this podcast and the following message come from Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. Indeed's sponsored jobs helps you stand out. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed and get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/codeswitch. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
This message comes from FX's Alien Earth. From creator Noah Hawley and executive producer Ridley Scott comes the first television series inspired by the legendary Alien film franchise. A spaceship crash lands on Earth, bringing 5 unique and deadly species more terrifying than anyone could have ever imagined. And a technological advancement marks a new dawn in the race for immortality. FX's Alien Earth. All new Tuesdays on FX and Hulu. This message comes from REI Co-op. A summit view, climbing El Cap, a faster mile, or that first 5K. It all starts here, with gear, clothing, classes, and advice to get you there. So you can wave to your limits as you pass them by. Visit REI.com or your local REI Co-op. Opt outside.
Mo Najjar, the character that Mo Amer plays on Mo, has a grip of side hustles, right? Like, he sells knockoff watches out of the trunk of his car.
Man, look at that. Got Boulevard, got the Daytonas. Wow, look at that. That's right. I got the Rolex with the bezel.
He's trying to help his mom get her olive oil business off the ground.
Come on, you said it was the best damn olive oil you ever had. Imagine what she could do straight from harvest to extraction.
He even tries his hand at being a bouncer at a strip club.
How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Dream Cabaret. The next dancer come to the stage.
Anything to make ends meet because he's an immigrant without papers, so he can't legally work at most places. Mo Amer told me, yeah, this is just the way it was growing up the way he did, toggling between these different cultural spaces out of necessity. He said those tense situations were a gold mine for comedy.
Well, I mean, I've always felt like I was a fish out of water, and any of those situations that you're in where you feel out of place are by nature humorous and create great comedy. So it's really about just leaning into that. And it creates a lot of relatability in those kind of scenarios. You don't have to be like an immigrant or, a refugee to relate to someone who doesn't fit in right away. Or in my case, I felt like I did fit in, or I was, an American, but was never on paper. And that created a slew of other issues that certainly created such a pressure cooker situation that, birthed a lot of comedy out of that.
What do you think when you say what it means to be an American? What does being an American mean to you?
Well, I mean, this idea that it's really just a fantastic marketing campaign, of like the American dream, which is not as easy as it sounds, right? It's like, come here and everything will be, great. And it's not. It's actually not. It requires you to work 100 times harder than your counterpart, especially if you're in the, asylee process and you have so many mountains to climb and to get over. It really makes you earn the term "I'm an American." I feel very, very proud of what I've been able to accomplish with so many hurdles that were in front of me and still are in front of me.
Mm-hmm. I was reading a synopsis of Mo, the show. It's about a stateless Palestinian man in Houston, Texas, who is torn between two cultures. But that seems at least 4 cultures too few.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've always, I know the synopsis, obviously I wrote it, but it's just like every time I've used it, I didn't feel like it would fully encapsulate everything within the show, because there is so much. I guess this word has become a little bit of a hot topic, but diversity in the show is just a reflection of what Houston is. Houston is the most diverse city in America. Fight me on this, New York. It really, really is such a phenomenal place to grow up in, and to make such a, mixed friend group that I'm still very close to this day. And it's just like such a really unique environment to grow up in. I don't know how to, describe it more than that.
Yeah, your character's toggling between Arabic and Spanish.
A lot of Spanish words come from Arabic. Pantalones, pantalon, azúcar, azúcar, calzón, calzones, burritos, shawarma, pita bread, tortilla, both flat, delicious, puffy.
And African-American Vernacular English, AAV, right?
Genuine leather.
Okay.
And this box with the proper paperwork, $125, period. Don't even try it. Just say yes.
All right. Yeah, you got a deal.
At some point, he puts on this white Texas drawl to chop it up with some people he's doing business with.
How you doing, brother? Beautiful weather, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we're lucky. What do you got, orthopedics?
Yes, sir.
Slow down now. Orange yourself. What are they, 9.5?
Son of a bitch, you got it again. Yeah, them old trusties.
I bet they're doing a number on your lower back.
God, my lower back is killing me.
Same here. Till I switched over to Yeezys. Then my back pain disappeared. Thank you, Yeezys is what I say. Come on, let me show you something.
How much were you doing that kind of code switching in your own life when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think it's like a natural part of trying to fit in, trying to show everyone that you relate to them in a way. And it was a normal part of it. I didn't even think about it as code switching. It was just natural way of like survival or living in Texas for me with my background, someone named Muhammad living in the South in a pre 9/11 and post 9/11 world. It just became even, more prudent that I show, how relatable I am and how like, you know, my ability to be able to speak Spanish was just by being in Houston, just being in proximity of Mexico and having so many Latino friends. It just became just part of who I am. Sometimes I feel like I am Mexican, like I forget, what I mean? Like, oh yeah, no, my name is Muhammad. I'm not Jose. Like you feel so connected with them. And I feel the same way about, Southern white people as well. Like I feel very connected to them in a way where it's like they believe in God. They have a unwavering, faith and believe in God. They come from like country life, very hospitable. They love cookouts, they love to hang out, be with family. Like that's me. That's what Arabs do too.
Like, would you say Mo was a love letter to Houston in a way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mo is absolutely a love letter to Houston. Houston has never had a scripted series before.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's never had a
fourth largest city in the country? Right.
Fourth largest city in the country, and it's never had a narrative sitcom that's actually been filmed in Houston. They had Reba, but Reba was filmed in a studio in LA with
California,
fake cutaways. Right. This feels like we shot everything on location.
So you like barbecue?
Why? You want to take me to the World Championship Barbecue Contest?
Depends. Can you two-step?
Oh, you telling me you can two-step?
Of course. What kind of Texan can't two-step?
Okay.
I'll twirl you.
You want to twirl me?
Be careful. I'll twirl you. Come on.
I felt like Houston was a wildly underserved city, in my opinion, and gets a lot of, bad rep. And so for me, it was really, really important to highlight city and almost make it like a character within the show. So that's why I was very deliberate about wanting to not only shoot it here, but, be very specific about the locations that I film here as well. So people from Houston be like, oh, this is as authentic as it gets.
You mentioned like being God-fearing, and I want to ask you about your own relationship to spirituality and prayer, because there are these two really beautiful moments, one in season 1 and the other in season 2, in which Mo is praying with his relatives. I'm trying not to spoil anything for people who haven't seen it. And what jumped out to me both was how rarely we see Muslims praying on TV, like in American TV, and in American movies that are not meant to denote like fanaticism, But the other thing is just like how much in both those scenes, your character, Mo, is kind of awkward about praying and is sincere about praying, which, in those feelings of like sincerity and sort of like reticence, they're sitting next to each other, which a lot of people who are believers feel at some point.
It's all like really grounded. I mean, it's making me emotional right away when you mention it, because it is so real to me, to the point where it is what happened in my actual life. In season 1, where it's my brother and my sister and I at my father's grave.
Habi, why don't you lead a prayer, okay?
Okay.
It'll be nice. It'll cleanse your heart. I know it was a rough day.
Bismillah.
Bismillah.
اللهم من أحييته منا فأحيه على الإسلام
They go visit their father's grave and they're praying for the forgiveness and mercy on their father.
Take your time. It's okay, Habibi. There's no rush.
السلام عليكم أهل دياري من المؤمنين والمسلمين.
Which is a beautiful moment when they find out that he doesn't have a tombstone or a marker, which is true. It's something that I found out about my dad. I didn't know he didn't have one. So it was really tough when I went to go see him. And we didn't have we had a phenomenal relationship. And right before he passed and talked about my dad, we didn't, there was some growing pains there. I was a teenager and my father suddenly passed away and we never really got to reconcile. So that caused me to go into, so many growing pains as a teenager, and then figuring out my faith and what I believe. And eventually, I had an incredible dream with my father that washed all those bad feelings away and reaffirmed my belief in the divine. And then, of course, stand-up has taken me all around the world and has allowed me to, square up a lot of those relationships that were completely destroyed because of war. I was able to see cousins and family and have interactions with them that I probably wouldn't have been able to have if I didn't do stand-up. So that takes me to the West Bank when I went to our village in Burin, which is a very small village of like 3,000 people where my mother and father were born. And I was there and I wanted to go pray in the mosque. And that's where that story unfolded, is where my cousin actually, with another worshiper that was there at the mosque, was like, you should do the call to prayer. You should do the call to prayer.
How did you feel when they said that?
I was really like, what are y'all talking about? And then I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fight this because it's clearly happening for a reason. So just go with it, you know?
It's a call from God. Answer it. Yalla.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I did the call to prayer, and this man comes in. He's just so angry who did the call to prayer, and they all sell me out. Totally messed up because I did it 10 minutes early. The clock was wrong. I didn't know. Why don't they fix the clock? And then the guy, it's such a small village. He was like, who are you? And once I told him who I was, he said he knew my father. And he goes, your father's Mustafa? I said, yes. He says, oh, my God. And he had a moment where he almost was shaken by it. He goes, you know who installed the sound system? I said, no. He goes, your father did. And then he just started telling me stories about my family and my father's side and this and that. I mean, the whole time he was talking, I'm trying desperately not to just start bawling, right? So it was just like, it was there the whole time. It was just remembering that just puts a knot in your throat,
When because you basically recreate the story you just told in the second season, towards the end of the second season, did it feel like a kind of closure to read to, so much your father? Did it feel like a kind of closure to honor him this way in the show?
Yeah, all of it does in a way, but there's just so many open wounds. You're constantly closing them. Every time you close something, there's something else that's open. You're like, oh, I got to stitch this one up too.
When we come back,
we have to have a peek into what was life like pre-October 7th. The preservation of the story and the characters were number one. And I really wanted them to go to Palestine. It was a love letter to my family, to Burin, the village of Burin, my grandparents.
That's coming up. Stay with us.
This message comes from Moises, proud supporter of NPR Music and the 2025 Tiny Desk Giveaway. Win a trip for two to see a Tiny Desk concert live at NPR's headquarters. Enter for free by September 12th and boost your odds by donating to the NPR network. And follow where the music takes you with Moises, your AI-powered studio, created by musicians for musicians. Learn more at moises.ai. No purchase or donation required for entry. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Links to the entry page and official rules can be found at npr.org/tinydeskgiveaway.
This message comes from Visit St. Pete, Clearwater, Florida. Visitors can unwind on 35 miles of white sand beaches along the Emerald Gulf and find a variety of open-air dining options, including restaurants recognized by the Michelin Guide. Learn more at visitspc.com. This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Gene this week, Code Switch. Mo Amer is the writer and the star of the critically acclaimed Netflix comedy, Mo. It's the only Palestinian-American series on American TV ever. The second season of Mo came out this year in 2025. more than a year after October 7th, 2023, when Hamas attacked Israel and Israel subsequently bombarded and razed much of Gaza. But this latest season is set very deliberately in the year before then. You even see a title card at the start of the season with the date on screen. And so the specter of October 7th and everything that's come after hovers over this latest season of Mo, but is not directly addressed. And I wanted to know, why?
We attempted as a writing room to engage in a post-October 7th world. And every time we did, well, there's several problems with it, first of all. Number one is that it's a comedy show, first and foremost. And then, if we do talk about October 7th, to me, the biggest issue is that the family doesn't get to go to Palestine, right? They don't get to go to Tel Aviv, and they surely don't get to go visit their family in the West Bank, which I've never seen on American television before, or any network, quite frankly. So that's huge. Second of all, it became really didactic, and it became outside of the characters. You lost track of the entire narrative completely, and it just completely engulfed the whole series with this topic. Thirdly is that you're timing the thing now, for sure. So the show will come out a year after everything is unfolded. So many things are changing from day to day, and you don't know how it's all gonna, look like a year from now. It's a very, very dangerous thing to do, and I didn't want to do that or make any mistakes in that. And that's really difficult. And then fourth reason is that there people have no context of what it was like prior to October 7th. Everyone thinks it started on October 7th, and that's not accurate, right? This has been going on for well over 75 years. Those people from Gaza, from the Nakba, from 1948, they used to live in the Israeli territory. They were pushed into that corner, and they've been subjugated to that, area since then. So it's like, how, if we were going to do it, we have to do it in a season 3, basically. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like we have to have a peek into what was life like pre-October 7th. The preservation of the story and the characters were number one, and I really wanted them to go to Palestine.
This is our country. See how beautiful it is? Look at the olive trees.
It was a love letter to my family, to Burin, the village of Burin, my grandparents. It was one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life creatively. And it was just really, really difficult to put together. And although I saw the story so clearly and vividly, it was still experientially really, really hard and extremely emotional. And it was felt at times that I was doing something that was very dangerous, but also I feel like we made something that was never inflammatory and very human and very loving and very caring and thoughtful. And that's what we landed on. And I think that's why it's been so widely reviewed so well and received so well by many who have seen it.
There are so many ways in which the show, Mo, reflects pieces of the real-life Mo Amer's real life. I mean, in part because so much of what his family has had to go through as refugees in the U.S. has been absurd. Like, in the first season of this show, an immigration judge recognizes Mo's family because that judge had a connection to Mo's father. That all happened IRL, but as we see in the show, that connection does not redound to his family's benefit.
You can't write anything better than what has happened sometimes, right? Like, in the first season, we go in, we think we're getting our asylum, and the judge is like, wait, who's Mustafa? And my mom is like, that's my husband, he passed away. And the judge gets emotional. He was like, oh my God, I was your husband's lawyer.
And I would be so honored to help his family today. But unfortunately,
what?
I cannot continue these proceedings.
Huh? Of course you can. Why not?
Because I knew him.
Exactly. We're good people.
So sign the paper. We'll all go to Cracker Barrel, get a country fried steak.
I'm sure you're good people. I'm sorry.
Judge, Your Honor, please, just sign the paper.
It is a conflict of interest.
I understand.
I have no choice but to recuse myself.
Nobody could have written that, you know. It's not gonna. Don't touch that. So it's like that's why I put it. It's such a gut punch, and it's real, and it's actually something that happened, you know. So you can't mess with that. So you have to like just build around it, and that was kind of my philosophy in writing the show. And I think in anything I do in the future in film and television is that pooling from authentic life and been building around it. And, you know, and scaling it up from there.
I mean, Mo is not a preachy show at all, but it kind of sits right at the center of a lot of very heated debates that we're going through in this current moment. Like the, you know, again, the mundane humiliations of our, you know, immigration bureaucracy, right? The displacement of Palestinian people. How much of that was like on purpose trying to be, I guess, topical? How much of that was just like the news cycle kind of finding y'all?
It's the news just finding us. And like, I've been so ahead of the curve on this, to be honest with you. Like, everyone asks me, how are you so relevant? Like, so good. I was like, man, I've been doing this for a minute. And I've known this has been an issue for quite some time. It just happens to be bubbling to the surface, right? So this is not anything new. I'm not like, you know, it's just like I've been on it. You know, I've been on it, and I just knew this was going to be it. And I could tell very quickly that this is something that needs to be addressed, and I've never seen addressed in this way. That's why I wanted to go in a detention center. Like, I've never seen that in a show ever.
Come on, at least tell me how long I'm gonna be here.
48 to 72 hours.
You're doing air quotes.
That's how long it's supposed to be. Could be a couple of weeks, maybe as long as a month, and that's before you maybe get sent to an ICE facility. Get the fuck in there.
Come on.
Get the fuck in there. Could be worse. You could be in Guantanamo with your friends.
Don't be like that, Jack. Jack, just let me make the call, Jack.
And I think that's really fascinating. That's what gets me excited as a creative to tap into stuff that I've never seen before on television, and to really be able to go in there and do it justice in a very short period of time is masterful, honestly. And that's what I sought out to do. You know, I really wanted to take risks and explore those areas that I've never seen before, whether it be crossing the border, the river, and getting caught up in a detention center. And then once I got into the detention center and thinking about that, I'm like, man, you know, it's not enough. Like, I have to be able to like show the other detainees and their experience, and then also show how privileged Mo is, even in his asylee refugee, you know, status, that he's also, you know, there's always somebody that has it worse than you do.
And then 10 days, caminamos through the jungle with the mudslides, the snakes, but the worst was the cartel. 3 days, we hide from them, drinking only the juice from the carne sausage to make it last, you know. Hasta cuando finally, we cross into Panama.
You did all that to get to Panama?
Yes. And you, what is your story?
Oh. I took the bus from Mexico City.
And then I started thinking about it even further. I'm like, man, you know, these detention officers are like in a prison of their own, right? Mm-hmm. These guys go to work, you know, maybe 5, 6, 7 days a week, God knows, you know, and they're essentially dying slowly inside. So I'm like, what is the spiritual state of a detention officer's heart?
Why you gotta treat people like trash? Where's your heart in all this?
You've been here, what, 2 to 3 days? I'm here every fucking day.
Did you have a choice?
No, what I have is a family. I've got 2 special needs kids. I've got a mother-in-law living in my fucking house. I've got a leak I cannot pay for, okay? The choice that I have is, do I go home at night and blow my fucking brains out, or do I get up in the morning and come back here and deal with shit like you again and again and again? That's the choice that you're talking about. So do me a favor, take your fucking ring, go get married, and get out of my face.
Take care of yourself, Jack.
Yeah, so I think it's just like being mindful and thoughtful, no matter what your feelings are. If you could separate your feelings, no matter how upset you are, no matter how angry you are, if you can just set them aside for a moment to have a discussion, I think it would make all the difference in the world.
I mean, you've talked about not necessarily thinking of yourself as, an activist or spokesperson, like you're being a comedian first, but you've, I remember that in the immediate aftermath of the Hamas attack on Israel and Israel's subsequent bombardment and take over much of Gaza, you gave a speech at a rally in D.C.
Really just taking a moment to soak you all up, every single one of you. I didn't really intend on speaking today. This was all really spontaneous, but seeing everything that's happening is just making my heart bleed. But we are an example of what it could be, what life could be, what hope do I have after leaving here today. And I thank you so much for gathering, my Jewish brothers and sisters, our Palestinian brothers and sisters from any denomination. I don't have any political affiliation. I don't really care about politics. I care about the humanity.
I'm just curious, about the kind of responses you received from that speech.
Yeah, I am a comedian. I'm an artist first. I'm a, stand-up. I'm a director. I'm a creator. I'm a writer. This thing about speaking at rallies is not really my forte. It's not really, what I do. It's something that I was asked to be present at by the Jewish Voice for Peace. A bunch of young Jewish folks and young Palestinians were getting together to try to do the right thing and talk sense into politicians in D.C. And I think that it's very, very important. Whenever you see, I was raised as whenever you see something that is, is not good that's happening in front of you, if it's happening directly in front of you, if you can fix it with your hands, then do it. If you can fix it with your, words, then do it. If you can't do either of those things, then dislike it in your heart, really hate it in your heart. And if you just hate it in your heart, you're the weakest of faith, So it's really, really important to try to just be vocal and be present in moments where your people need you most. And when I say my people, I mean humanity.
And that is our show. You can follow us on Instagram at NPR Code Switch. If email is more your thing, ours is codeswitch@npr.org. And subscribe to the podcast on the NPR app or, wherever it is you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe to the Code Switch newsletter by going to npr.org/Code Switch newsletter. And just a reminder that signing up for Code Switch Plus is a great way to support our show and to support public media. And you get to listen to every episode sponsor-free. So please go find out more at plus.npr.org/Code Switch. This episode you're listening to was produced by Xavier Lopez. It was edited by Dalia Mortada and Leah Danella. The audio engineer for this week's episode was Robert Rodriguez. And we would be remiss if we did not shout out the rest of the Code Switch massive. That's Christina Kala, Jess Kung, Courtney Stein, Verilyn Williams, and my co-host B.A. Parker. As for me, I'm Gene Demby. Be easy.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Shopify, the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Get started with your own design studio. Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/NPR.
This message comes from Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile took what's wrong with wireless and made it right. They offer premium wireless plans for less, and all plans include high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, and nationwide coverage. See for yourself at mintmobile.com/switch.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Vuori, featuring the Core Short. Receive 20% off your first purchase on any U.S. orders over $75 and free returns at vuori.com/NPR. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.